So, what are the male gonads? Gonads are what? They're the testes. They're just kind of like the sexual reproductive organs, I guess. The ones that are creating the actual gametes. Good. And so inside the testes, we have these really like long tubes that are kind of squiggled around in there. They are actually producing where the sperm is produced. You know what that's called?
Seminiferous.
Seminiferous.
Tubes.
Yeah, seminiferous tubes. Or tubules, I'm not sure.
Tubules?
Tubules, good, it should be tubules.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's just like these zigzagging tubes going back and forth, and that's where the production of sperm takes place. Now, we can't really see it because we need the top part, but there's this little structure, it looks like a sock or a comma that kind of hangs on top of the testes. You know what that's called?
Your scrotum.
Not the scrotum. Scrotum's the pouch that it's actually in. What were we saying? The epididymis. Good, the epididymis would hang right about right here. And that is for what? What happens to the epididymis?
Store sperm.
Storage and maturation of sperm takes place there, right? Oh, I think I did forget one thing here. There is a fibrous white coating around the testes. Remember what that's called?
Tunica
Prepuce.
albigina.
The tunica albugina. Tunica albugina is like this white fibrous coating around the testes. All right. So after epididymis, we just said after they're matured and they've been stored for a long time and they've matured, they're going to head up a tube that leads from outside the pelvis into the pelvis. What is that tube called?
Spermatic cord.
Well, yeah, but that's part of the spermatic cord. What is the tube specifically called for the passage of sperm?
Ductus deferens.
The ductus deferens. Awesome. Heads from the epididymis out of the pelvic cavity into the pelvic cavity through that inguinal canal. But the ductus deferens and the blood vessels and the nerves all together collectively is called the what?
Inguinal canal?
Well, that's the area that it passes
Okay.
through. But what's that collection of tubes called?
Spermatic cord.
The spermatic cord. Awesome. All right, so we're going to finally get into our pelvic cavity right here. And we're going to come around, and like I said, we talked about the difference between the male and the female urethra. It's for the male, it's for the passage of both sperm and urine. So it's a urogenital tract in a way, right? So we're going to come here, and we actually have 3 different accessory organs to the male reproductive system. We can't see here because we need to have the outside part of it. We can't find it. But there are 2 glands on the back of the bladder. You remember what they're called?
Seminal and prostate.
Oh yeah, the seminal vesicles, or seminal glands is what I'm talking about here. The 2 little, look like little leaves at the posterior end of the bladder. It's kind of hard to see here. But they do what? They have a very specific function.
Oh, yeah, they provide your fructose to make the sperm be able to move.
Good, awesome. It provides fructose, which is energy that helps, jumpstart the sperm and get them activated here. Awesome. Now we have this big bulbous-looking structure right here. What is this called?
Prostate.
As the prostate. Awesome. And it produces what for us? For our sperm, at least.
Antibiotic.
Antibiotics.
It's the protection, right?
Yeah, protected via antibiotics. Good job. And we go a little bit further down here, and it's kind of hard to see. There's a little tiny bulb right here, and that is what?
The bulb.
Urethral
The
gland.
bulbourethral gland. Good. And then that secretes what?
That one.
Mucus, yeah, right? But what kind of mucus?
Semen, right?
Not semen. Well, the semen is the collection of the sperm and all these little extra things that all these accessory organs are adding into it. But the bulbourethral gland adds something into the semen. Let's think here. Okay. So we just said that male urethra passage for sperm and for urine, right? So what's the pH of urine? Is it high or is it low? It's low, right? It's acidic. And what happens to things when they're in like a very acidic environment? What is that, like when we're messing up a protein, it's called what? Did you talk to you about denaturing? Have you ever heard about denaturing a protein? Okay, we'll put it this way. When something is in an acidic environment for too long, it denatures, so it kind of like ruins the protein. It doesn't fall apart, but it changes it to where it doesn't work anymore. So we don't want that to happen to our sperm, right? Because they have a very important job. They're supposed to go off and pass on your genes. There's fertilization to keep the human race going. So we need to make sure it's not acidic anymore. So what's happening is we're producing a certain type of buffer in here, right? It's an alkaline mucus. It helps to buffer out any leftover urine, acidic urine that's left in your urethra, as well as the actual environment of the vagina itself, because it's also acidic. So once again, there's 3 reproductive accessory organs that we need to talk about. The seminal glands, which would be right here behind the bladder, and that provides fructose, energy for your sperm. The prostate, which provides defense, which is antibiotics. And the bulbourethral gland is that buffer. It provides an alkaline
Alkaline
mucus
mucus.
to help buffer out and neutralize the acid of urine and the vaginal area, I guess. We'll get into the actual structure here of the penis. So inside our pelvic cavity is going to be the what of the penis? It's the
The body.
not the body, but the
What was it?
the internal part.
What's inside
of
the
penis.
body?
It's called the what of the penis? This is the internal part.
The root?
The root. Good. The root. It goes actually into the pelvic cavity itself here. The external portion of it would be
Oh, that's the body.
That is the body. The tip or the head is the
Penis?
Glans penis.
gland
Glans
penis.
penis.
Good. It is the glands. And then the foreskin or the skin around the gland's penis is called the prepuce. Good. I think that just about does it for the male reproductive
No,
system.
the corpus spongiosum
Ooh, okay. That one I'll have to show you here on
and
a
the
diagram.
cavernosum.
I'll show you here on a diagram, or excuse me, a coronal section of the penis. So you can see there's 3 chambers. The top 2 are the corpus cavernosum, and the bottom one is the corpus spongiosum. And the corpus spongiosum is kind of around that urethra, around the tube of the urethra. And its job, its function is when it fills up with, I guess all 3 of those chambers are going to fill with blood when the erection reflex comes about. And to ensure that the urethra doesn't close because of the pressure of those vessels inflating, the corpus spongiosum inflates itself to keep that urethral tube open. We want to make sure it's blocked up so that's passage of sperm and stuff like that. It's important. The whole function of this body system, right? So, is everyone okay there?